But one thing is for certain, that it continues to show up as an effect that seems to be more life-supporting, more supporting our human condition and our ecological condition of life. So I'm going to get to why this is so fascinating, if you are not fascinated already. Next slide. So now we get to Penn State. And spectroscopic, is Dr. Rao here? Oh, for heaven's sake, I haven't met you. I've been talking to you on the phone all these days. How are you? Yeah, good. Good. So with the help of Dr. Rao, next slide, we did some tests on Aquafina. So you can see here that I'm in Aquafina. Let me go over here. I still have my mic on, right? Yeah. The Aquafina water. This is a Raman shift, and Dr. Rao or Professor Roy can explain what that is, if you don't already know. But it's not my expertise. But anyway, there's no change here in Aquafina. Same test with crystal geyser. There's a change here around here. Next slide. So this is both Aquafina and crystal geyser. There's a change in the OH stress band here. So on testing on the previous one, there's no change. Testing on this one, there is a change. So it depends on how we're looking at it. Now these tests, of course, doesn't say anything about the biological effects. It's just showing at the material science level that taking a bottle from Safeway, putting it in some magic field for 30 or 40 hours, now we got something happening at the molecular level. Okay, next slide. Same thing, we separated, did a test, and here's some changes right here at this wavelength, which this is the wavelength here that was blown up here. So obviously there's something happening here with ABL water and SRT. Thank you, Bill. Next slide. One of these days I'll pay you. Don't hold your breath. Okay, here's another one with ABL. Difference here. Difference in the peaks here. Each sample was run in triplicate to ensure the reproducibility of the data. Okay. Next slide. Okay, we did another test a few months later. Next slide. We show Aquafina and crystal geyser again, and we see the observable change in the intensity around 210 nanometers for Aquafina. A is unprocessed, B is processed. So if we were just to look at this, we wouldn't know whether this is good or not. But we combine it with our other tests, with the sprouts and the pH and ORP, et cetera, and we start to get a picture of a water that's healthier, perhaps. Yes? 5 minutes? Okay. Next slide. Okay. Here's some more tests. Next slide. All right. This shows, so far, we've tested samples from April and February, and there was no change. So this subtle energy effect, at least in this time span, didn't fade at all, which is, and we're continuing to, track as the months go on. Okay. Next slide. I think this might be the end. All right. So tomorrow I'm going to go into other applications, and if I have another 3 minutes, I'd like to do this demonstration. I do it? 1 minute, 2 minutes. All right. So that when a system is in coherence with itself, the output is greater proportionally to the input. So if I had a bowl here, well, here's kind of a bowl, and there's a amount of energy input. There's the output. Input, output. You hear the sound. It's an acoustic energy exchange. But if we have a system here that is completely coherent with itself, in this case, the mass of each side of this crystal bowl is identical to all other sides, then the input results in a lot more output. And the other thing about sympathetic, so each side is sympathetically resonating with all the other sides, constructively interfering. in other words. But if there's an interference, so one side becomes changed, then it goes back to like the Coke. So to whatever degree. So if you have that same mass, the output continues, and then it grows on itself without increasing the energy, just continuing the energy. It begins to grow and grow and grow. Like that. Okay. Now, so this is an internal system that is in coherence right now. More output, less energy. Think of that as your human body. If you are physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in coherence, then you can get more accomplished with less energy. Do less, accomplish more. And you are also able to experience a greater output of aliveness, of life itself. So what adds coherence, or what increases coherence? All these things we're talking about today and tomorrow, I believe. So now these other bowls here. Here's a different tone, right? Obviously. So now I have this third bowl. One of these, let's stop this one. Let's see if there's something that exchanges here with this bowl. I'm going to stop this. Nothing. Okay? Now let's go over here. Watch carefully. I'm not holding the bowl on my left hand. I'm not hitting it, of course. Sympathetic resonance. It allows the coherence to exchange in a sympathetic system. So this is a different size bowl. Can you all hear it? Yeah. So same frequency in this case, right? So this is for musicians. This is a, I might be wrong, but this is something like an A, 440 cycles per second. You can do this if you have a piano. Oh, that was a good one. And just go up and put the pedal down and sing a tune, and the piano will sympathetically. Yeah, resonance. Well, yes. And specifically sympathetic because it's the same frequency. Okay? So anyway, our technology is allowing the resonant frequencies between the physical state and the non-physical states, so-called states, more resonance, more communication, clearer communication. And like Yuri, to really get into understanding that has taken me, well, probably longer than Yuri, 30, 40 years, and to explain it would take several hours. But that's the basis of our technology. We are activating what's already there. We are resonating with what's already there. And fundamentally, what we're talking about is the innate intelligence of life. Thank you very, very much for inviting me. Thank you, Rusty. Yeah.
Okay, let me try to cohere the sympathetic resonance. These are all therefore measure. The transition is being made between physical sciences normally done in the last 3 or 4 in the morning, and today to their applications in between subtle energies and sympathetic resonance and whatever the terminology is, into some healing vectors. These companies are selling healing vectors, and these are proposed mechanisms as to how they may be happening.